Okay, I think we're live. Yep.
Okay. Funny, I thought we were live all this time.
Oh, you did? I'm sorry. I should
Well,
have I should have maybe clued you in on that one.
I should have saved all my good stuff for now.
Well, we can go right back over it. I'm sure it's right there, right? Okay.
Yeah,
Yep,
I
we're
have
live.
it.
Okay, let me see. Let me double check on my phone here. I think.
Did Marie ever contact you?
Oh, you did? There we go. Yep, it's us. Hey, what did you say now,
Did,
Yvonne? I'm
did
sorry.
Marie did Marie contact you?
I don't think so. No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I can check my email. No, she didn't. I hope she's okay.
Yeah, me too. She's
She's
feeling like
wonderful.
she goes through she has heart trouble. So,
Oh,
I check up on her as much as I can, find out how she's doing.
hi everybody. Today I'm joined with Yvonne Gordon. Yvonne Gordon, we were just, she's a bit confused right now because I had not told her we weren't live yet. So she thinks she spilled all the beans already, but I think she's kidding herself. But hi Yvonne, how are you?
I'm fine, Steve. Thanks. Thanks for inviting me and
Thank you
keeping
for
me in
being
the
here.
dark. I'm used to the dark.
I guess it's Elsie Darling's birthday. Happy birthday, sweetheart.
Oh,
And
happy
she says,
birthday,
what a
Elsie.
wonderful birthday gift to have Yvonne on.
Oh,
I did it just for you, Elsie.
bless her.
What's up, Gary? How are you, buddy? Michelle Can-Am Free. We've got Cindy, 10,000 Lakes BC. Hi, how are you? The Brick, that's Travis, I believe. And El Cirillo. What's up, Big Al? How are you, bud? I'm glad everybody's here. And we're going to talk a little bit. I wanted to ask Yvonne right off the bat was, because I was reading Psalms 23:4, I think it is, where it talks about walking through the shadow of the valley of death, or the valley of the shadow of death. And that I was kind of confused on what Jacob meant in the verse. It's why don't you could you elaborate on that? Because the names of the Bible are pretty much allegorical terms for our process to the divine, correct?
Right. It's a Psalm of David, but Jacob means supplanter or heel catcher, and he's in the womb. He's got Esau by the heel, and what that is Esau's his carnal mind, and he's got him. He's connected to his heel, and but he has to supplant him. He has to go over him, and that's what he does when he gets the birthright. Is the soul has to rise above the ego or the carnal mind,
So
and
Jacob would be the first sign that you recognize your ego and you're taking it by the scruff per se.
that well, it started with Abraham. He was like the first, and he saw that great ego inside of him as soon as the light went between his desires of his heart. And because they're always represented by animals, and they were represented by the clean animals, meaning his clean desires, but they're not clean enough. The light still has to process. And but as soon as it did, he recognized the opposite. It's like the light reveals the opposite. You're in the opposite, but you don't know it until you get into the light, and then you go, oh, that's where I was. And when you look it up, it's like this great idol, because it comes from the idea that his father was an idol maker. And they created all the images, the stones, and the teachings, and these are all idols that you learn from the outside. But Abraham was the first that saw everything from the inside and was able to then correct it, because you can't correct anything from the outside because it's already manifested.
That
So it
seems to
has
be
to.
the theme going around these days, that in the spiritual communities is that we need to go within for anything to be fixed on the out, right?
Yes, yes, everything grows from the inside out. That's why we got to go deep in, and then that's where the change, the transformation begins, and a new being emerges. The heart is renewed, the mind. We talked about Mary being the pituitary and Joseph being the pineal gland, and that connection between them being the Ark of the Covenant, because there has to be that connection between those two parts of our brain where the oil actually rises to the pineal gland,
The Christos.
the Christos, right? The anointing or the Christos, and it crosses over at that place of the crossing, right over the shadow, I guess, of the valley, and
Yep.
that right,
That's
and then
this
it
is
just
how man is the measure of all things, right? And then to know thyself is both on a physical, molecular level, I suppose, as well as spiritual and of the world and not of the world, right? I mean, this is how it's all fits together. It's like the pyramid
right,
in essence.
right. We're put into this dimension and this body. It says God put Adam and Eve in animal skins. So we're put in this body so we could learn about nature from the inside out
Yes.
instead of from the outside in. It's like
Yeah.
taking that trip inside and going, oh,
Right.
well,
Isn't
I'm a
it?
lab. I'm a lab. Not I'm alive. I'm alive. I'm a lab. I'm a lab.
It's like, well, you know what? That's the weirdest thing because what you just said there ties right into what I was going to say. I was going to say Geppetto and Pinocchio. You know
Hmm.
that story right there is the story of the creator and his son, right?
Yeah,
And you want to be alive. Frosty the Snowman.
right.
that story. All those stories are just a
Yeah,
reverberation of the same story, and that's the beautiful thing about all of this is that people think everything's a literal physical sense, but I guess that's how you learn, right? I mean,
right, right. You're put in the physical to learn about the spiritual, because as you enter into the depth of your own experience, it's like, you're entering into the universe within. Everything in here is out there, and everything out there is in here, like you always say, finite, infinite, that kind of
yeah,
thing.
and that's just my word play in my head to just pound it home in my own psyche, because even me, I just recently, a couple weeks ago, well, not even a couple weeks ago, a week ago, I think I reached out to you when I was feeling overwhelmed or, just like up against the wall and, like
Right,
beating my head off a wall. And I realized right there, it was a lesson that I learned that, I can't bring anybody to anything. I can't even bring them to the trough. I can't do anything for anybody but myself. And, I just share what I'm going through just because maybe somebody, one person will pick up on, something that'll lead them, like I never thought in a million years I'd be talking to you right now about this 5 years ago, when I thought
right.
Nibiru was a planet in the sky coming to get us all, you know.
Yeah, yeah, no, right. I mean, everybody did if they read Zechariah Sitchin, right?
Right. I didn't even read it. I just, it fit the criteria for all the questions I had about the Bible and the physical aspect of thinking Noah's flood was a physical thing and that he built a big, huge ark and put a bunch of animals on it,
Right, right.
You know what I mean? So I
Oh,
just,
sure. But I think it's so great that we have these mythologies and these stories so that we can get a frame of reference, when we are going through it. If we didn't have those and we went through them, we'd be like the first person ever, and it'd be really harder. It's still hard, but it's easier
right.
because, okay, I've read about this. Now I know what it means. I've seen that. Now I understand it, because you understand it from a deeper level and from, through your heart, through your desires. It's very hard to understand anything with just your mind because this mind is made for information,
Hmm.
but it's not, it just isn't enough to make you really understand. Understanding comes from the heart.
Yes. Yes. That's the center of all things, is it not?
Yeah, it is. And
Actus mundi.
it's really hard to let yourself go into that place because
You
it's
have to
that's
expose yourself.
scary.
You have to expose yourself to everybody and everything.
Yeah, and you have to know that you have to trust that what you're experiencing is not only valid, but that somehow you'll be given the wisdom to figure it out. Because there's a lot of times you go through stuff and you think, Oh, no, 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 I'm going to find out from somebody else, and that's okay too. I think it's all okay. Everything's okay because eventually you will find out that you have to make peace with what is inside of you.
Yep.
You
And
just
and I
do.
was frustrated for the longest time up till just recently about trying to get my point across and people not listening, and and that's when the realization came that I can't do anything for anybody other than myself. And it's sad because you want to just this is the truth. Hear me roar. And it's
Someone told me yesterday, you're talking to yourself, don't you? And I thought, of course, shut up. But it's true. I mean, we're talking to ourselves, but we're all one. So we want that feedback. Everything wants feedback that, you know,
yes.
I mean, you make somebody a cookie and you want them to say, oh, that tastes good. You don't want to just have them walk away and not even,
But
acknowledging.
is that not ego satisfaction? I mean, that's expecting something in return, right?
It is. And you will get over that, believe me. You get over that. But it's still something that is natural. It's
Right.
natural. You don't have to go, oh, why am I like that?
Well, isn't
You
that
know,
why Facebook got so popular? Because of the like button? You know, you can hit like on Facebook. People are ruling their lives by it, and you
yeah,
know,
yeah,
running in circles.
yeah. And I think it was also a real kind of a push to make us see that it does that, we're still not happy. We still aren't happy until we're happy inside. No matter how many people like us, we can have 50,000 likes, and still not be happy. And that's,
Listen to this concept. I just I thought of this because of the whole spiritual lesson of the situation with the COVID right now.
yeah,
And I thought, I was so against wearing a mask because they're irritating and this and that and this and that. But then it came over me that wearing a mask is not for yourself anyway. You're doing it for another. You're
right.
doing it for
That's
somebody you don't even know,
right, right.
right?
In case you're a carrier.
Yes, an asymptomatic carrier, and that's oddly enough, that's what I think 60% of people are that have it.
Yeah,
They're asymptomatic.
exactly. You could be perfectly fine and still make somebody else sick.
Right, but that
That's
aside, I just the mask issue alone, even if COVID's a hoax or whatever, or just nobody can judge me or my valor by me wearing a mask other than me. And
right.
for me to think that it makes me lesser of somebody to put on a mask for not myself, but for you, I'm gonna laugh in the face of that and put it on just for that reason. But you know
Right.
what I mean? But
Of
I
course
do
you will.
I came to the conclusion because my wife's a nurse in a nursing home, you know, and I don't want to be the path that some virus takes to that nursing home,
Right.
and I don't want
Yeah.
to be the one to give it to my wife or my kids. But I'm not saying I walk around in my house with a mask, don't, but out in public, I will wear a mask just so in case. But what do you think
Yeah.
about that in the COVID thing? Do you think it is a spiritual nature lesson to us and maybe to notch us down a bit?
Well, at my point in life, I think everything's spiritual, kind of, so everything has a spiritual root. So sure, this is spiritual. The way it manifests is also spiritual because spirit can be bad spiritual or good spiritual, depending on, how you're handling it and where you are with it. But yeah, I don't really personally, my nature is to say, I don't want to wear a mask. I don't like to be fettered. I'll do what I want. That's my nature.
Me too.
But, for others, sure, absolutely, I'll wear a mask. No
Right.
big deal. But I'm not going to go out a lot because I don't want to walk around with a mask a lot.
Right. I
So,
hear you. That's exactly my point of view too. It's like, okay, I'll wear it at the bowling alley, because I
yeah,
want to go bowling.
exactly,
People
exactly.
think it's some sort of ritualistic thing that they're making you subhuman or something, or their minion, or just that whole mentality. What do you have to say to that? Is that ego in man telling you, fighting you, that has the the carnal fear in them still? I mean, what's your take on that?
Me and my sister, we talk about this stuff. I trust her, to say anything stupid in front of her, but I mean, I'll just trust you too. I really don't know. I don't know what the hell's going on. That's the truth. I have no idea.
I
And I
think it's
mean it
supposed to
for
be
the,
that way, though.
I have all my thoughts. I have all my suspicions, which are irrelevant and they could be totally off the wall. I've thought about things like, well, maybe they're trying to keep us from having face recognition because, the communists are out to, you know what I mean? It's like I've thought about everything, but I don't know. And until I know for sure, I'm not going to say, oh yeah, it's this or it's that. I can think whatever I want, but
Right,
what's really important is, like you said, taking other people into consideration. And
right.
if it all turns out to be a hoax, I'm not going to feel stupid.
Yeah,
I'm
well, how
not
worse
because
for wear?
nobody knows, right?
Right. How worse for wear are you going to be if you put a mask on your face? People think it's detrimental to your own health. If you think it is, then it's going to be. But I mean, I've worn a mask half my life at work because of dust particles, you know. So
Yeah.
wearing a mask does not kill you, and I have asthma, so you know. Uh,
Yeah, it's not good for you. That's my sister. She's a teacher and she works, she has to go back to school. They opened up schools in Georgia and I guess in New York, not in Arizona. They kept them closed. But, she's like, I don't want to wear a mask all day. It's bad for you. It's bad for you. And I'm like, I know. And I wouldn't tell anybody what they have to do. And
right.
it's like, it's a real struggle within us. And I think, um, only we can figure out, well, like you, am I going to do it because of this or that or not do it,
Right.
for my own reasons? I don't judge anybody at this point.
Me neither. Me neither. I'm
I'm
not
not going to
getting into
get too
that.
near people
Yeah.
who aren't wearing one. No.
Right. I'm not going to turn into a Karen, whatever they call them. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't want anybody coming at me like that, but that's not why I wear it. I wear it just in case, because, you never know. You just never know.
Yeah. You don't, and I don't even know, just the geographics of who's getting it and who's not getting it, all that
Right.
stuff. It's just
Weird.
mind
It's
boggling.
weird.
And,
It's right
I just
along the
realized,
lines of the Schumann resonance being 7.82 and the population being around the same same number, plus billion, 7.82 billion, and the Schumann resonance is 7.82 hertz. Is that a coincidence? I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe
It's the
that's just
numbers of our world.
that's as high as we want to hurt it, right?
Yeah, no more. It hurts.
We don't want to hurt anymore. We don't want to
Right.
hurt anymore. But
Right.
yeah, for sure, I do feel bad for everybody. I kind of, you know, I wish I could say something that would make everybody feel peaceful and be okay,
Yes.
But I think this time in our life, we're all kind of being pushed to figuring out what is going to, how are we going to handle this? Everything from economics to politics to health to our spirituality. How are we going to handle this?
Oh,
And
it's
the
changing.
answers have
It's
to come
changing
from
everything.
within. You can't find them out there. The governments aren't going to tell you, the leaders aren't going to tell you. And it looks like the priests aren't going to tell you. Nobody's going to tell you,
Right. Because
you
then
know?
nobody knows.
Right. So you're
Nope.
on your own, even though we're all together in this, you
And I
know?
think that's the lesson in it all is the nature is just pushing back because we pushed it. Yeah,
Yeah,
there's a barge of garbage in the middle of the Pacific Ocean the size of Texas and growing, you know.
right. Yeah,
And
and I mean, the other group that's real happy about this happening, Lightman and his group. And it's like, they're looking at it like we're forced into it now. I'm not quite that happy about it because, my
is
sister's
that
happy
is
with
that the
him.
Kabbalah take on it? Is that
Well, it's his take. You remember you went to a few
yeah,
groups.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
The one
and
that has to be translated all the time, right?
right.
Yeah. Deep insight in his words.
Yeah. He's real happy. He's happy that we're being forced to, come to our knees and
Yep.
go up. We got to go up now. It's like we've hit the boiling point. and the boil's got to pop, you know. So in that sense, it could be a good thing if we all get to that point, but it'll be a bad thing if it makes us all really crazy and turn against each other, you know.
Right. And people are just going crazy about the mask issue because I brought it up. And,
Uh-oh.
everybody pretty much across the board's against it. They're bucking the system on it. And, I do too, but, I can't really adopt that attitude because my wife's a nurse and she works at a nursing home. So, I can't,
Right.
I can't just throw
Yeah.
caution to the wind and say, I don't care if I get it or not. But I couldn't do that anyway, because if you think about it, if there's any chance that it's real, like we just went over the whole thing. If for me, wearing a mask ain't gonna hurt me. It ain't gonna hurt anybody around me. It's not gonna hurt my pride, and nobody's gonna tell me how to live my life other than wearing a mask in public. And even then, if I don't want to wear it, I won't. Then nobody can force you to do it legally. They can just kick you out of their business, and that's about it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And my son does all the shopping. I don't go out anymore because of my health, but he wears a mask, and he's been told you can't come in here if you don't wear a mask. What are you going to do? Sit there and make a big deal? Or are you going to go get your groceries? What I mean? It's
right,
like,
right.
but like if I had to wear one all the time, if I was outside, I had to be forced to be outside. But like healthcare workers, like your wife, they have to wear it.
Oh yeah.
And they have to wear it even if there is no pandemic, right? If the people are sick.
They're supposed to, yes, but I mean, yeah, now it's stringent and they're taking extra steps, and of course, people can't go visit, and outsiders can't go into the nursing homes now, and that's neither here
I'm
nor there.
not going to one. I'll tell you, I'm scared of not, I mean, I'm not scared like, oh, but I wouldn't want to have to be forced to be in a nursing home right now. I wouldn't. I'm
Right.
very grateful that I'm 68 years old and I can be at home, you
Well, you're
know.
still young.
Yeah, 68 years young and old.
Yes, yes. Pete Turtle says you have the free will to choose whatever you want to do. You don't have the free will to impose your will on another. Imposing your will on another is where evil begins and ends. Very true.
Yeah,
Very true.
exactly. And I guess, you can look at it, well, someone's imposing their will by making me wear a mask. Or you can also say, well, I'm imposing my will by making myself a possible danger. So which way do you look at it? You know, but if you don't think, let's say you really don't believe that you believe this is all a hoax and you believe there is no COVID, right? Then I guess, you would follow your conscience, right? That's where your conscience is. You
Hmm.
think it's all hoax, but
Hmm.
I don't know that it is, you know. That seems to be a big secret. If anybody knows for sure, let me know
Right.
right now.
It's right. It's akin to, is God real? Right. I mean, come on. Is the Mandela effect real? Is anything? It's how how convoluted can we turn our world into? In our own minds, we get it so. I mean, is nature simpler than we make it?
Yeah. Yeah, I think nature's real simple, but it's very difficult to find that simplicity.
Hmm.
Very difficult. Nature just has these phases that it works on. It's got a law and it works by that law. And if you discover that law, then you go, oh, okay, that's how nature works. And then you work with it, you flow with it. But if you don't know the law of nature, which is why the Bible calls the ego the man of lawlessness, because it just doesn't understand nature. The ego thinks it can think and create something, and it
Yeah.
can't, you know?
Well, it starts with a thought, but you still have to use your hands and your body and your physical.
Right. And well, you can't create anything outside of nature that is real.
Oh, yeah, yeah, that's what you meant. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So, it's like a little seed makes a tree, a little seed makes a flower, a little seed makes a person. Same principle, same principle. And it goes through these stages and voila, there it is, whatever it is that it intends. I didn't know that we were 50% viruses till I heard that from Rabbi Lightman. I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's our building blocks of who we are. I mean, right? Isn't that? I mean,
Yeah,
that's the what is that called? Is that transpermia or panspermia or whatever it's called? What is it called? The where we're just from the primordial ooze at the beginning.
yeah,
Is that what it's called? I don't. Yeah, I
yeah.
can't remember.
Yeah. So, why wouldn't, when I kind of thought that that made sense to me when I think he said it, that we are releasing the virus. The virus is in us. It's because we're not right. And it's a coronavirus because it's around our head. Our thinking is wrong. And nature's trying to correct us. So what we're really doing is we're keeping the poison from going on to others. That's a weird thought. That's
That
a
that
really weird thought.
yeah, that's that's you know what, that kind of ties into what I was just saying about wearing a mask, right? You're wearing a
Yeah,
mask, you don't spread the poison.
exactly. I mean, what if we really are maybe our evolution has gotten so toxic that we ourselves, because of the way we are, we suddenly sprung a virus that comes out of our own system.
Well,
And
that would be what I think nature would do to get rid of the negative aspect of it. I mean, if Earth in the system is an evolving entity just like we are and our souls are, that makes a lot of sense.
yeah, and in that case, we want to protect people from ourselves as much as we want to protect them if we did have a real serious disease. You know what I mean? We
Correct.
wouldn't want to pass it on unless we hated people.
Right. And that's the other aspect of it is, if we're so divided and dog eat dog, that's what we've been taught and pounded in our heads for the last 50 years in this country is you got to get what you can get front and center and get what you for yours and your own, and screw whoever you got to step on or whatever to get what you got to get. And maybe
Yeah,
that mentality has gotten us,
yeah,
like you said, ill.
it has, because look what it's done to our economy, what it's done to our earth. It's what it's done to our religions. It's everything's kind of come to the point of where nothing really makes sense. If like nature didn't intervene and didn't try to help us by transforming us, we probably would destroy ourselves within another 50 to 100 years. I heard one scientist say we don't even got that long if we keep going the way we're going. And that was not a religious scientist. That was just a scientist.
Well, yeah, scientists across the board understand that, but then comes into the debate the the right versus left, or the Al Gores versus the Trumps of the world. You know what I mean? People that say that our world's been around for how long? We've a couple plastic bags, ain't like George Carlin's mentality. Remember? George Carlin would have those jokes like, Earth has been here for 3.6 billion years. Two damn trash bags out of your house ain't gonna affect the world. But I don't agree with that because I know that there's a barge of plastic in the middle of the Pacific Ocean.
Right. And how many times has mankind destroyed himself?
And destroyed. Yeah, maybe that's where the ooh parts are coming from them artifacts they find like in strata, 15 mile or 5 miles into a coal mine in strata that like wagon wheels and
Right.
hammers and stuff like that. And how? So yeah, you're right. How many times does this cycle happen?
Yeah. Like when I read all those books by Mircea Eliade and all those books that I got about the ancient history, and they said when they looked from above, the whole area of the Dead Sea looked like it had been a nuclear war. All that ash around it, it was completely like it was a nuclear war that took down that place. Maybe it's like we've destroyed ourselves more than once, and it takes a long time to come back. And what nature's saying, let's not do it again, let's not do this again. And like the idea of China in the United States in a Cold War, it was bad enough when I was growing up in Russia and the United States were constantly putting us under our school desks. you know
Right. I never had to experience that, thank God. But I mean,
yeah,
today's uh I don't know, alternate culture in the truth community, it's getting to a point where you feel that same, you know, if you buy into all of the nonsense on online, it cultivates that fear. And was that fear back then just to keep humanity down? Who knows? I mean, who knows? Because, you know, somebody knew if they were really serious about pushing a button or not. Maybe they were. Maybe they were intervened with. Who knows? Maybe nature had a way to deal with that too. You
Yeah.
know.
Well,
So
nature keeps coming back. We learned that by Chernobyl and, in that other big accident. Yeah, I guess
Chernobyl
it
and
was that. Yeah.
yeah,
But nature
Valdez.
comes back on its own. If we don't screw with it, it'll be fine. But it's like it's sad that the highest part of nature, which is man, can't get past this point. It's like it keeps getting to this point and then it just falls apart. And I think it's because we don't like the next level. The idea of the next level of loving our neighbors, ourselves, or really being connected by the heart is
Mhm.
just so
Actually caring,
unappealing.
and actually caring for your neighbor or people you don't even know.
Right, right. It's like why? It's like I got enough problems, that kind of attitude.
Yes, that attitude is rampant these days, and that's
Yeah, and especially when you see like what like we just saw with Beirut and all these terrible things happening. It's like it's so overwhelming. We don't know what to do, and
but then
we want to
you
go
have to
cold.
realize that the news is only going to purvey or convey the negatives of our world to us because we are a shock and awe demanding clickbait society that demands it, that we see extremes, otherwise we're not interested. You know, so they're
Yeah,
going to show nothing but the extremes of our, but not on the extreme good side, just on the extreme negative, because we are a fear-based creature. You know, and it's for some reason we like to be scared, hence the reason why we have roller coasters, parachuting, you know, bungee jumping, zip lining, you know, adrenaline junkie maniacs. So,
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
that, do you think all of that is part of the ego, or do you think it's
It's part of our survival instinct because it goes through. We're born with that. We don't need the ego develops us. Kind of shows up around 2 years of age when we recognize ourselves in a mirror and we know, oh, that's me. And the minute we know that's me, we're on our way to developing really, firming up that ego. But before that, before 2 years of age, we're kind of run by instinct, and one of them is our survival instinct, which keeps us alive. If we didn't have it, we would probably die very quickly. So it's important, but I think like it's the fear thing. I think people like looking at fear outside because it keeps them from looking at their own fear.
oh,
It's
so
like,
we externalize it, you're saying, and actually propagate it and build things and to fear, so we get scared of it, so we don't deal with our own fears, our inner.
right. Yeah, it's our fears that create those things, but
Hmm.
we feel they're manageable. We can turn off the TV. We can get off the ride. We can, not deal. We can close our
Sounds
eyes.
very Kabbalistic of you, Yvonne.
Really?
That's their viewpoint, though, right? I mean, everything that is on the outside is manifest from within every individual, and then, you know, 100
Right.
monkey affected, and then 100 people, or, you know, I don't know what the percentage is, but enough people think the same thing, it comes to reality, correct?
Yes. But the funny thing is when you really go into your own fear, when you face your own fear, you don't have to be afraid of anything out there anymore.
Right, right.
It just neutralizes fear for you. It just takes it away. That's why it says, that I will fear no evil, because once you're in hell and you face that, like David did, I've opened my eyes in hell, and but you were with me, then okay, this is the scariest it gets. This is what all the movies are about. This is what all the horror out there is about. And then you face it and it's over. It's over. And then you don't have to create scary things to overcome outside. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Oh yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Sorry, I was just reading chat. They're going
Okay,
on
go ahead.
about
Go ahead, read
money
that.
and being debt slaves, and how we're chasing a carrot, and, you know, on the treadmill of life. And that's just another aspect of the hurdles we have to overcome, and who knows if the ancients had to face, but I'm sure they did. They all had trials and tribulations they had to face, right?
Yeah, I think anytime that you become conscious, and you're not living just by an animal instinct, you are going to you become afraid and you have to start overcoming yourself. And
Mhm.
it's a long journey. That's why I think the Bible is breaks it into 6,000 years.
Yeah, and I was just going to bring up the 6,000 year thing with you. And
Yeah, I think it takes 6,000 years for the soul to both develop the ego to its maximum and then overcome it and rise, be raised to that new level of consciousness. Because the ego, only the ancients who are helping us figured this out because they went through it. The ego has to go through these phases to be ready to be overcome. You can't just tell a child don't develop an ego because you might as
I
well
did
just
that to
put
my
them in a
kid the other
cage.
day. I'm like, get rid of that ego, boy. That ego's getting too big.
Right. When it gets too big, I mean, you're supposed to help your kids manage it, but like it still has to go through. Remember Maslow's hierarchy of needs? First,
No.
it wants basics like food and water and sex.
Okay, yeah, yeah.
And then after that's settled, then it wants its own territory and it wants its people. And that's kind of animalistic, right? They all have their own stuff they go to. And then when that's kind of settled, then the ego develops into wanting things that their neighbor has.
Right.
It's not enough to have your own territory anymore. You want to expand yourself, you expand and take more. So
Expand.
very primitive to be like that, right?
Right.
And only after that do you start wanting, you start figuring out that money, you start figuring out a medium of exchange and how the power of money can get you there quicker, so
Mhm.
that the ego develops this monetary system. I don't care how far back it goes, you know what I mean? If it's a
Right.
medium of exchange, and the ego is always looking for the better deal for himself, right? When it gets past that, and that's boring after a while, a couple thousand years, you know?
Trying to add that on a collective right now, aren't we? I mean, before the virus, China was about ready to tank. I mean, the whole
Right,
global economy but was ready to go in the toilet.
right, right. It really has come to the point where there's no place to go with that one. It's like it's
Yeah.
become just ridiculous. You know what I
So
mean?
like almost like they're buying time, maybe.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
I hate
But
saying they and their because I don't want to be one of them people, you know.
I came into this life wanting a lot of things, but money was one of them, and I kind of feel like I already went through all that. But I came into this life wanting knowledge, and that's the next level. Knowledge is becomes very important. Knowing, 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 and it isn't until you're done with that level that you actually hit the peak, which is enlightenment. So knowledge leads into enlightenment, but knowledge is a long journey. It's a lot of crap to know,
Yeah,
until
yeah. It,
you're
it is
like, oh, that
it
doesn't
is
make sense. Well,
overwhelming,
that doesn't make sense. That's
but
why it's called.
it's if you I'm learning recently that all of the knowledge, it's all about one thing, really, truly one thing. And that's what the whole pyramid scheme is about, I think.
Right.
How you take all the convoluted nonsense at the bottom of the pyramid, and then you start putting it together and collecting it and comparing it and all that. And then all of a sudden it starts coming up to a pinnacle or a point. And
That's
that's only
yeah,
given, that point is only given from above. And that's that's when we
yeah.
complete the union with our true self. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
knowledge leads to enlightenment because it just takes you to all these four corners, east, west, north, south. It takes you every which way you can go, but you all of a sudden you realize that there's got to be something above it. And that's the beginning of being free, And then everything makes sense. From up there, everything makes sense down here. And you can dismiss what doesn't matter, you know.
Right. And yeah, I think that's part of everybody's journey, and nobody can force anybody over a hurdle they're not ready to jump over, right?
Right. You can't push, you can lead a horse to water, can't
Yep.
make him drink it.
Right.
They got to want to drink it on their own. So most of the journey is about really coming to terms with two things, our desire and our intention, and knowing that they have to work together as one. That, you can have good intention, but your desires are all screwed up. You can want the best of the best, but you still don't understand that you yourself have to choose love. You yourself have to choose faith. It's your choice. That's freedom.
If somebody's asking me something, did I read what story, P Turtle? Remind my P Turtle is their name. I'm Turtley from a turtle club. My Turtley enough for your turtle club. You ever seen that movie? The
Oh,
Master of Disguisey. Pretty funny.
okay.
The egg. I think I did. I think I did. The egg. Yeah, by Thomas Wheeler or Adam Weiner. I think so. We enter silver from bronze, and consciousness go up, and many will wake up. And yeah, what say you, Yvonne, about is there times? Do you think this time in our epoch or situation that we're in, do you think that more and more are going to come to the realization that the inner journey is will more ask themselves, can I come in from the out now? You know.
Yeah, I think what happens is that, remember the hundredth monkey principle?
Hmm.
And it's like the one monkey, he figures out how to open that clam with a rock. And then all the monkeys on all the islands around him know how to do that all of a sudden.
Yep.
When enough people come out into their enlightened state, it's going to have an effect because we're connected. If we were not connected, the ego doesn't know we're connected. The ego thinks we're all individuals, but we're not. We're connected by nature, right? So the minute enough of us come out, it's going to be like light for the whole, everybody. And then everybody will, even let's say somebody is, on a very low level, the light will actually evolve them quicker to the next
Right.
and the next to the next level. You know what I mean?
Right. That's funny you say that because the real beginning of my journey was sun gazing, of all things, staring into the sun at sunset. And it was weird how I had information flow to me the next day that led me to you today. You know,
Oh,
Not for that instant, that time, I believe I would not, or, I think I would not be talking to you right now if I didn't, actually think I was getting something out of it. I don't know if that was what turned it or what, or if it was the time of year. Or, it was December 15th of 2017 when I truly, I was awake before that, in my awakening
right,
journey, but the spiritual side wasn't really taking hold until then. And it started with, oddly enough, the black hole sun. You know,
hmm.
it was weird. And then Cindy, of all people, 10,000 Lakes. One day, I met her, and she said, "What if our hearts are miniature black holes?" And I made this connection. I'm like, "Wait a minute!" And that's why Anu is my symbol now. Is because
Right,
of that moment.
right.
And it's
Yeah,
like it's the inside is the outside. That is the whole. That is the fractalized nature of everything. So, do you have
right.
on that? I guess we'll end with that. What is your take on the whole versus the singular? Is the extent the same as the singular condition? Is the
Well,
outside?
everything you got to remember, everything's experienced in our brain, even our heart.
Mhm.
I mean, you can, if you can have a heartbeat, but if you don't have a brain, well, you can, if you're brain dead, you can still be alive but not know anything, right? So everything's like we become conscious. Even our heart is consciousness in our brain. But yeah, I believe that abomination of desolation spoken of in the Bible, that's in the holy place, which is the heart of man, is the void that I was saying before, that Israel, which is the connection to God, the soul, has to bring light into. because that's where, remember Eve, she was the one that fell. She
Hmm.
was the one that listened to the serpent.
Yep.
So the heart, the desire is what's lacking its fulfillment. And as soon as the heart gets that light, it overcomes. It's complete. You're complete.
And
That's why it doesn't
that's when you
help you
find
to
the
just,
blissfulness of knowing, right?
yeah. Yeah, because the heart then informs the mind. It renews your mind. You can't, I mean, I'm not going to say they don't work together because you get enough information and you either get bored with it like I did. I went from, teaching to teaching to teaching to teaching. And I knew that it was about my heart because I had a connection when I was 14. But I thought if I, with that connection, I was going to find it through learning.
Hmm.
I didn't know I was going to learn it through experiencing that connection within me. That
Right.
was a shock. I
That's what this
mean,
world is for, right? Is for that
yeah,
to define your center and because you're one act of God, right?
right, right. And we're the house. That's the heart's the temple with the mind. And it's got to be enlightened. That's what we're here for, to find that light within our heart and mind and to renew it.
I have one from Menza. He asks, Phil had mentioned something about thousands of souls here to the world. Maybe the 1,000. Do you have any thoughts on?
About the thousand?
It says Phil said that there's thousands of angels here helping out humanity, and is wondering if that's the same as the 144,000 that the Bible speaks of, or what do you have to say about that?
Well, Jesus said that anyone who's in the resurrection is like an angel, and that's it's also the measure of a man. A man is not a male or female anymore. He's a both. He's a balanced being. He knows his female and male energy, his heart and his mind are balanced.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's an angel. That's what an angel is.
Nice.
That's why it says we entertain angels unaware, because we can't see them by looking at them physically. Now, once an angel passes out of the body, he doesn't have to come back here.
Yeah, that's the only begot. That's for he who believeth in him. John 3:16, right?
Right,
That whole verse, correct?
right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
so I believe that angels are all around us, sure. They're either the just men made perfect who already passed over, or they're still here in the body, and they're still like they haven't, said goodbye to their flesh suit, you know. But yeah,
Miles is the narcissist of our bunch. He's Thoth Anon. He's always got the comments on the reality check. Here's one. There isn't enough room in the safe areas for everyone to be saved. Uh, that's funny.
well, it's funny how much you leave behind when you get out of your body.
Right, right.
you
All right,
know.
Yvonne, this has been pretty productive. I got to say, I appreciate you coming on and clarifying a few things. I mean, the Bible is just hate. I don't know if the word hate is too strong, but people just do not like the Bible because
Yeah,
they cannot understand it.
right. It's the book of knowledge of good and evil. It's the tree of, it's like it says in there, I put evil and good before you, darkness and light, life and death. If you read the Bible with the carnal mind, you're reading death to yourself. If you
Yes,
read it with an open heart, you're reading life to yourself because you know how to discern it. It really is not a good book if you just read it with the mind. It's very distorted and very impossible to understand. I really believe that.
yes. Phil said the very same thing that you cannot read it with a human perspective, a worldly view, because that's just not meant for that. And
Well,
that's why.
it makes God look like an asshole. I mean,
Yeah, it makes like he's got a vendetta against us or something. But
right, right. You can't look at it like that. It makes God, that's why it says Moses did not sanctify the name of God in the face of the people. It's like to really be able to explain God in the way that he really interacts is only by a person who's found the right way to interact with him.
Right. And from my experience recently is the closer you get, the further the goal is. And it's like the more you think you know, you end up knowing nothing. And that's the whole dichotomy of what the field is. Because I think the God is everything and the all knowing, and it's obviously an intelligent field of you know Forrest, but I mean, I totally appreciate your take on the Bible. I mean, because like Jacob, that stuck with me today, and I just had to get the explanation for Jacob, and you eloquently described it to me, and I totally appreciate your insights about the Bible because I did throw it away like everybody else. So thank you for that,
Okay, Steve, nice talking to you as always.
sweetheart. And thanks
Okay,
everybody for joining us. Uh, you can find Yvonne on her channel. She keeps up videos for 5 to 6 hours at times. Sometimes she'll keep them up for months, but just don't be angry when there's a video there that you watched and you want to share it and it's not there to share.
I'm so sorry. I know I'm such a schizo.
Giving you a little gruff there. That's all right.
So, no, it's okay. I deserve it. I really do. I'm not
No,
kidding.
you don't.
What can I say?
But hey, love, peace, chicken grease, everybody. Just, go within, love without, and we'll be all right, right?
Yeah, yeah.
All right. Thanks,
Take
Yvonne.
care. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.